Hi, everybody. This is Jason. Welcome to week 2 of English 256. The theme this week is brought to you by the service industry. Work on page and screen, I think. Uh, we're encountering especially images and representations of um, contemporary service industry work. And our main course this week for the literature side will be Friday Black, a collection of stories by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. It's his first collection. It's his first book, and you can see they've been published in a variety of places, but I'm excited to read them with you and talk about them with you. The ones that I selected for the class can be found in the content list, and they're um, mostly focused on what it's like to work in the retail industry. The first story in the collection, though, the Finkelstein Five, is just a really good story, and I think a good introduction to the kind of world that Adjei-Brenyah has created for us, his readers. We're also reading two stories by George Saunders. He was a teacher and mentor to Adjei-Brenyah, and he's a well-regarded American fiction writer. This is not his first book, not his first stories that we're reading, but they're kind of representative stories in the sense that they are warm and kind of zany, and maybe a little dark. Um, I'll let the movies introduce themselves, and then in the forums we can put them in dialogue with the stories we read by in Friday Black and by George Saunders. So some model discussion posts from week 1. I wanted to point out some great work in the first week, highlight some great work, show you a few representative examples. Notice here that in Dwayne's post he is quoting from the story, and then right after the quotation he gives, he has a nice follow-up for her to state even something like this doesn't show ... So what he's doing is presenting us with this morsel of Cisneros' writing, and then he's following up on it to explain what he sees in it. So you don't always have to quote, but quoting can be really helpful in a lit class, especially to kind of chew over the words that we all see together. We've all seen them in the readings. To bring in a little sample or a morsel like this can remind us all of what we're looking at and be really helpful for discussions. Details are also absolutely necessary, especially when we're talking about the films. In Deja's post, excuse me, in Deja's post here, you can see her uh, referring to several details from the movie Moonlight. Um, give you a second to read this. So that again, as common readers of or viewers of Moonlight, Deja kind of orients us toward the meaning that she wants us to get out of it by pointing to a couple key details. Likewise, in Daniel's post, you can see some details here from Boyhood. Um, and then notice that Daniel is also making a connection between Boyhood and the house on Mango Street. So this is something we'll be able to do more and more as the course progresses, make connections between the different kinds of stories, especially between film and lit. I also wanted to point out a couple great examples of dialogue within the discussion posts. Notice that Jada writes, she notes, I completely agree with the theme you chose. Another story that to kind of piggyback is to introduce another idea of hers. And then this was golden. Like you said, she quotes Sesame. I hope I'm saying your name right. If not, please do let me know. But Jada quotes Sesame here, which I thought was awesome, and I would totally encourage everybody to keep doing that. Daniel noticed in response to Douglas, frames his ideas in response to Douglas's. We see a similar family conflict arise early on, blah blah blah. But he's nicely taken what he said and put it in relationship to what Douglas was saying. Sesame to Dwayne says Dwayne mentioned in his reply that ... Um, great recap of what your colleague has said before, and then Douglas to Dwayne says I definitely would agree that blah blah blah. Again, restating Dwayne's comments, and Douglas is framing what he's saying kind of alongside of Dwayne's, and then he goes on to agree, but with a difference. So the basic idea in the discussion boards is that we want to maintain momentum and build community. And the way to do that is to try to get a horizontal discussion where we build on each other's ideas. So to do this, read all the posts in your thread and reply to the last person in the conversation. We want to see something like this happening, where Douglas or Dwayne posts an initial post, Douglas posts in response. I asked a question because I couldn't help it, and then Dwayne replies to me, and then I reply to Dwayne. This is the kind of, see how it edges over toward the right-hand side of the screen. That's the kind of thing we want to see, people building their ideas and kind of introducing new ideas that that kind of relate back to the old ones. It's fine to just respond to the initial post if that's what you need to do. I'll find a different one here. It's totally fine. Notice how Caitlin, Tamara, Simone, and Daniel all kind of reply to the initial post. This is what we might call a vertical discussion, where everything relates back to that first one. But ideally, again, they will kind of move to the right as people read and respond to what's been said before. So again, that way we can build some momentum and some community in our discussion boards. So thanks. I'll look forward to seeing you there in our discussions for week 2, brought to you by the service industry. Thanks.